Now, you'd think the Democratic Party would be eager to hear more from Tulsi Gabbard. She is young, she's progressive, she's an Iraq War veteran. But Gabbard stands alone among the Democratic candidates in opposing starting new wars like Iraq or bombing Syria. And therefore, the Democratic Party appears eager to sideline her. Gabbard has done well in a number of recent polls, but the Democratic Party does not recognize those polls and may use that to keep her off the debate stage next month. Congresswoman Gabbard has completed 2 weeks of training in the National Guard, and she joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks very much for coming on. So,
aloha, Tucker.
Tell me if I'm misstating this. The Democratic Party is refusing the DNC is refusing to recognize as valid polls that put you that would qualify you for the next debate.
Well, here's a situation. There's a whole bunch of different polls that have come out. The DNC has only recognized some of them as being qualifying polls for the debate. The whole thing gets a little bit confusing, and you've got to jump way down into the weeds of the numbers and the statistics. But I think the bigger problem is that the whole process really lacks transparency.
Right.
People deserve having that transparency because ultimately it's the people who will decide who our Democratic nominee will be and ultimately who our next president, commander-in-chief will be. And when you see that lack of transparency, it creates, a lack of faith and trust in the process. And I think this also points to a bigger issue and challenge that goes beyond the DNC and party politics is the government itself.
Right.
There's people who are increasingly losing that faith and trust in the government because they see a lack of transparency there. They see that we don't have a government that is of, by, and for the people. And really what they see is a small group of really powerful political elites, the establishment, making decisions that serve their interests and maintaining that power, while the rest of us are left outside. The American people are left behind. So these are the deeper-seated issues that I think it's important that we recognize, and that for me as president, that I would seek to change, that we'd actually fulfill that vision that our founders had for our country of having a government that is truly of, by, and for the people, and making it so that people can trust that our leaders are listening to them and making decisions not based on partisanship, but based on serving their interests.
You got sideways with the political establishment last presidential cycle because you didn't jump aboard the Hillary Clinton Express immediately. Then subsequently we learned that there was some activity that looked a lot like rigging going on behind the scenes. I mean, parties do this, have for a long time, in order to sort of steer one candidate toward victory and hamstring another. Are you worried that could be happening again?
Again, I've got some concerns about the process, and I think a lot of them go to that lack of transparency, because when you have transparency, then people are able to see, okay, well, here's the process, here's what's going on. That's not really what we're seeing right now, especially around all these polls and the qualifiers and the non-qualifiers for the debate. For me, I can just say that whether I'm on that debate stage or not, I'm going to continue focusing on speaking directly to voters across this country, connecting with them, and recognizing that no matter what the powers that be in Washington say, the power lies in the hands of the people of this country, all the people of this country, that when we exercise our voices, that's how we can really bring about the kind of big systemic change that we need to see that goes far beyond just the next election. It goes back towards what I was talking about, is actually bringing the voices of the people to the forefront.
I hope that your voice is heard. I mean, I don't agree with everything you say, but I think you've got really interesting and important views on foreign policy that are underrepresented in Washington for reasons that I don't understand. Most of the country actually agrees with them, but no one in Washington does. And so I hope that you can tell the country about what you think on those topics. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us tonight.
We will continue. Thank you, Tucker.